Brushing your teeth is one of the most ingrained daily habits that many of us have. We start as babies, really, and we never question it. But what if everything we've been told about toothpaste is wrong? What if the product we rely on to keep our mouths and our teeth clean is formulated more for texture and appearance than actual dental health? And here's something else to think about. Every month, globally, 1.5 billion toothpaste tubes are thrown away, with most of them ending up in landfills. That's shocking. So in this episode, we're going to challenge everything you think you know about toothpaste. We'll compare and contrast conventional toothpaste, which contains up to 50% water, with a simple tablet, a toothpaste tablet. And then we'll ask whether the future of toothpaste is in fact waterless, plastic-free, and travel-friendly. And to do that, I am joined by Axel Kaiser, the man behind Denttabs, the most researched toothpaste tablet in the world. Axel has spent over 20 years fighting to change an industry that never wanted to listen, but things have been changing slowly in the last few years. From Axel's work with dentists and dermatologists to the incredible story of how sustainability movements finally caught up with his vision, this conversation is packed with insights that could completely transform your oral care routine. You need to hear this episode. Welcome to Green Beauty Conversations, in which I challenge the beauty industry to become sustainable, champion independent and green beauty, and encourage you to join me in making beauty better. I'm your host, Lorraine Dallmeier. I'm a chartered environmentalist, biologist, and the CEO of award-winning online organic cosmetic formulation school, Botanica. We have tens of thousands of students in over 190 countries around the world who study with us to become organic beauty formulators and entrepreneurs. Visit our website at formulabotanica.com to try our free online formulation course. And if you want to be the first person to know what's happening in green beauty, make sure you subscribe to this podcast in your favorite podcast app. So in today's episode, I'm joined by Axel Kaiser, the founder of Denttabs, the company that developed the world's first toothpaste tablet in 2003. And in doing so, they revolutionized oral care with a sustainable alternative to traditional toothpaste. With a background as a car mechanic, programmer, and co-founder of a dental laboratory, Axel has always been driven by curiosity and a hands-on approach to problem solving. Denttabs began as a research project to create a water-free toothpaste without unnecessary chemicals, but it quickly became clear that oral hygiene needed a complete rethink. So his innovative tablet claims to make teeth too smooth for plaque to form, reduce the risk of cavities, and eliminates the need for conventional toothpaste additives. Now, 2 decades later, Axel remains dedicated to transforming dental health and proving that rethinking the simplest habits, like brushing your teeth, can have a huge impact on both your health and sustainability. Hi, Axel. How are you doing today?
The sun is shining. I had no issues today. Nobody's calling for catastrophes. No, I'm good. Good day.
I like that too. Days when no one calls me for catastrophes. Those are great days. So I'm glad you're having one. So let's start with introductions. What do you do, Axel?
Oh, best known is this tiny little revolution that is kicking toothpaste out of the world. And for that, we, more than 20 years ago, created something called toothpaste tablets. And that's so much more than just an alternative to toothpaste. Just a funny thing. It's a weird change that we're trying to implement into the world. With the end, toothpaste will be out of all shelves.
Wow, that is a big mission. Well, let's start for our listeners who maybe aren't familiar with the concept of a toothpaste tablet. What is it?
The idea came up through one of the professors, one of our dentists. I ran a dental lab. For more than 30 years, my brothers and I ran a dental lab. Our only customers are dentists. And one of them wanted to become a doctor, so a PhD thing. And for that, I helped him. And his professor came up with the idea, when looking at toothpaste in the ingredients, there's some stuff inside that has the potential to cause trouble over the time. You might lose your hair at 50, and that's because you've been using toothpaste or anything else. We never figured out what could be the problems, but serious problems. And the reason is that toothpaste's main ingredients is always water. And to turn that water into a stable, long-lasting, good-looking paste, you need ingredients. Most people probably don't realize that when you leave toothpaste on its own, mold won't sit on it, although there's water and lots of other funny stuff inside. So what is inside the toothpaste, for instance, as one of the ingredients? that keeps mold from settling down. You got an old orange with mold on it, put a stripe on toothpaste on it, leave it for a couple of hours and take that stripe away, and you will see there's no more mold. And that's just one of the many, many, many aspects that come with the tablets. But the idea was create a waterless material that you can use to clean your teeth. Clean. It was still cleaning. And that was about it. So we played around, found dry stuff and mixed it together somehow. Very funny. Me running around with a white coat. And I never went to university. I've never been a student. I'm an absolute nerd and know nothing. We did that. And I helped him with the technical parts. And when he was done and everything was good, I kept on playing with it. And I found another nerd. And that other guy, he was the general manager in a contract production. And what they did was tablets. Naturally, they turned what we had into a tablet. Ta-da. And all of a sudden, and we're talking about years of playing around, all of a sudden we had a tablet. And that we started selling in October 2003. And the year I can well remember because that's the year my daughter was born. Otherwise, I probably would have forgotten. We only had a theory that if you use toothpaste, you might have a problem after a long, long time. And we started selling through the internet in a self-made online shop, which was very, very funny. I can tell stories that would take hours just for the fun of it. And the customers came back and started asking questions. Where are my stains going? Where's my gum bleeding? Why do I not need Sensodyne anymore? Why do I not have sensitive teeth next? What are you talking about? In my early life, after school, I was trained car mechanic. And that's about it. All the rest I did on my own, just trying to figure out and then did. And all of a sudden, I was confronted with so many weird questions. Saying, whoa, hold on. And we started research. And out came whatever you learned about teeth care. And we ran a dental lab. We live on what you do, which we didn't know. Everything's wrong. It's not just that it doesn't work. Because we run a dental lab, we know best about that. We live on that. It can cause serious trouble.
Like what?
Inflammations in your mouth, like gum bleeding, periodontitis, which is the most popular known, or I don't know all the international terms for it, but whatever you have, gone within days.
When using the toothpaste tabs?
Well, actually, it's not using the tabs. It's not using toothpaste anymore. A little different. The sensitive teeth necks. When you have sensitive teeth necks, which is it's very popular in the world, you live with it, or you have crowns and bridges, or you just pull out the teeth. Not necessary anymore. You just start using Denttabs containing fluoride, and it'll take 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever, and it's gone. Permanently. Repaired. We had to realize that fluoride is a good thing, not when it comes to toothpaste, which has a technical reason. We use the same stuff. We buy the same stuff from the same suppliers. It's just in toothpaste, in a water-based material, it can't work. Technical nerdy knowledge. Anyone who wants to know the details, I love to tell that, but that will really waste some time. And that's how it went on. So all of a sudden, after a couple of months, we had so much knowledge. Says, okay, this got to get into the world. Who's best to do that? So we went to the industry. All the big players, all the medium ones, the German ones, the local ones, the organic ones. Nobody, none of them wanted to listen.
What was their reason?
That came out long, long later, a couple of years back later. In a beer place, one general manager talked to another, not me. Nobody talked to me for a very good reason. If I tell you all the details on teeth care and what toothpaste does and what it especially does not, then you know that toothpaste is not good for the world. Now knowing it, how can you continue selling it? Because then you do it on purpose. Or at least you know about it. So nobody talked to me.
So did you ever figure out what in toothpaste was causing these problems?
There's 3 big topics in toothpaste that don't work. There's no way you can create a toothpaste that does the job the way the tablets do. It's technically impossible. It just doesn't work. So we never cared. We have our own little test called the tulip test. And I can send over that. There's a nice picture on that. Take a teaspoon with toothpaste, put it into a glass of water, stir it, and then add a tulip and watch it die. We know 24 hours and the head of the flower will be on the floor or on the table. on the other side, you put another glass with our tablets or with water. You will see it's all standing up. It's all good.
So tell me more about how the tablets actually work on the teeth. Like how do they work once you start to use them?
You put it in your mouth, and with your, how do you call that type of teeth? The corner teeth? The
canines?
Vampire teeth?
Molars?
However, you somehow turn it with saliva into paste. You just crack it and chew it. Everybody finds his own way. And then you start something that looks like brushing your teeth. You can use any toothbrush, but best toothbrush is a very, very, as soft as possible manual toothbrush. Because what you technically do is no brushing. Brushing doesn't make sense. You can't clean your teeth. You have a lipstick?
I am wearing lipstick, yes.
Okay. When next you apply, put a dot on the front tooth. And try to get it away before you start using Denttabs. And it's a hustle. Gone. Then you start using Denttabs and add another dot after first time of using. And then just with your tongue, it's gone. What you do with the tablets is not brushing, it's polishing. And they get so incredibly smooth, nothing can stick to it. And that means you cannot develop plaque. Without plaque, you cannot develop tooth decay. Caries is not possible without plaque. A simple game. It's very logical. You need a roughness on your surface so that remains from food can stay there and build plaque. And in that plaque, a certain type of bacteria can multiply, and that bacteria turns sugar into acid. And that acid destroys your animal. Very simple, easy to understand, and easy to prove. So, and that you cannot put into a paste. 70% of the tablet is microcrystalline cellulose. Whenever you pop in a tablet, painkiller or something, most of it is microcrystalline cellulose. It's a filling. It's just to give it a size, because the stuff itself, the drug itself, is very small. So that's what we're using.
So there you were in 2003. You've invented this tablet. You've been experimenting for quite a long time. You have this tablet. You take it to the big players. They ignore you. What do you do next? What happened then?
The decision was this knowledge needs to get into the world. And I tend to be a very little bit stubborn. I'm a Scorpio. I was born in the coastal areas in the north of Germany. People there tend to be very stubborn. So, okay, if you don't, then I do it myself. I had no idea what I was talking about. But we started producing and started selling through pharmacies, online, but it was very hard to get that knowledge out of the people's brain. Because right after birth comes the diapers. 10 days later come the toothpaste.
It's very true. Once they have teeth.
The moment they have teeth, there comes the toothpaste. And from that time on, you do use toothpaste. You never decided to do it. What you decided was not to get into trouble with parents or kindergarten or teachers or dentists. And the always threat was either you do or you go to hell, or even worse, to the dentist on the chair. Expensive and painful. So that's the reason why we use toothpaste. And it's so deep in your brain. And to get that out is really hard. And that took a long time.
I can understand that. But you said you were obviously stocked quite soon by some pharmacies. So how did people react when you started to pitch your tablets to them? Because, I mean, it's so revolutionary. I'm sure no one had heard of that idea or even thought of that concept.
They could not have heard of it before because I was the only one to tell.
Exactly. So how did people react when you said, here's my tablet, try this?
They didn't buy. The pharmacies never bought. They were not interested, even because there's no margin on it. They can't make money. Cancer stuff, that's good. That's good for cash. Toothpaste is nothing. It's ridiculously small. But masses make the difference. But what we could do was register as a pharmaceutical product for pharmacies and tell the people that they don't need to buy online. They can go to the pharmacy, show that number, and then the pharmacy can order and you can pick it up, I don't know, next day or afternoon. That was the only way we could do. We had an experiment with one of the big players in Germany, but that failed because a shelf doesn't help to sell. Because if people don't know what it is, why would they buy? And you can't put promotion on a small package like a toothpaste or toothpaste tablet. And the idea was totally new. So we always had fans, but that made a year's turnover maybe 200,000 euros per year. Had we not had that dental lab that pays for the bills and my salary, it wouldn't have worked.
So how did you then get out there to start to change people's minds? Because things have changed a little bit in the last 20 years.
They have.
Yeah.
Luck, pure luck. When the unpack shops came up, we were the choice. Not for the best of teeth care, but for you can sell it one by one.
So these are the zero waste stores that
exactly.
We have here in the UK and US and beyond.
Yeah, not so many left.
No.
It's been a big wave, but as waves are, time is over. And that was the first big thing. It was so funny. We were sending bags with three and a little kg of white unmarked tablets through DHL into more than 40 countries.
Wow.
And nothing ever happened. Obviously, nobody ever opened it because otherwise we would have all the DIA in our house. And nobody called. Nobody was interested. It said and smells like toothpaste. It's like nice and fresh and healthy. And I asked our chemist. We had a chemist in our nearby. I said, "Could we add some drugs?" He said, "Sure you can. Why not? But how do we get it out?" "Oh, you just have to do." I said, "Stop, don't tell me. I really don't want to know. Not that I tell anybody how to do that." So, but nothing ever happened. And next was in Germany, we have what you have as Boots in UK.
Yes, we have that in the UK. It's a big drugstore here.
In Germany, it's DM. That's the biggest and most famous one. And they took us in. Funnily, not for the best of teeth care. They didn't care about what it is. It was the packaging. And we were in a shift to a compostable packaging, a foil. And that's really cool. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to take you. I'm being on their desk year by year. Okay, why wouldn't you want to take us in? And that's so good and so healthy. And blah, 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 blah. It won't sell. And all of a sudden we were in. And that was hilarious. That was a crazy time because we could sell not best of teeth care, but sustainable, plastic-free, water-free, all of that.
Yeah.
And that was really a real success. Very short, but a real success.
So have you noticed that the uptake has changed since the beauty industry has finally started talking about sustainability and environmentally friendly products and services?
In a wavy way. It's more a wave. Another wave and the next wave. Yes, people think more about sustainability, but the final choice is still the cheapest.
Yeah, I get that.
It's difficult. People are more open to things that are good and sustainable. But it's not that the world has really changed. It's just getting a little less, I wouldn't say it's getting so much better, but people are more open. And what these days helps us a lot is the multiple crises. The trouble that we see in the world, nothing has come from heaven. It took its time to now run into all of these issues. And, that makes people think, maybe what we did wasn't that good. It wasn't that smart. It just seemed to be a good world, but it's never been. And now we're all in trouble. And that helps telling people that, maybe you should rethink your tiny little thing that you do every day twice. And they now tend to listen more. I get more inquiries from magazines. When we're asked to get on the shelf, it's not that complicated anymore. At least everybody knows there is toothpaste tablets. We've been in public TV without them talking to us. They've just been reporting on there's something new on the shelves.
But then saying that, I mean, you said that obviously price is an influencing factor, which it is in many personal care products. But I have to say, I mean, your toothpaste tablets are very reasonably priced. So that shouldn't be a sticking point for people because you can buy, in fact, I was looking at your website earlier, you can buy a whole year's supply of tablets right there. It's incredible.
We have bags with 1 kg. That's your personal teeth care needs for more than 5 years.
That's
people
incredible.
Buy. People buy. It's bigger families or family and friends, and they share. So they buy 1 kg. That would be 3 kg in toothpaste. Who would buy that? But some people do. And we're pretty well known. And we just made an inquiry with our customers from the shop. Of course, who's in our shop registered and bought, they are all fans. Nobody comes to our shop and buys one bag. They come for a year supply or 2 year supply or whatever fancy stuff we have. And they already know Denttabs. They already know, because buying one bag for €6 plus post a package, that happens, but very rarely. And we asked them how they like it and what did they experience since they've been using it. And that was really crazy. We have ideas on what happens when you start using Denttabs instead of toothpaste. How many things can change, like skin problems, gone.
Really?
We're now in talks with dermatologists. One of them wrote us a message, don't you dare ever stop this, because every my patient's coming up with something weird. First, we take away the toothpaste, give them the tablets, and then ask them to be back in a week, and then we see if there's still something to do. He said 80% either don't show up again, or they show up and there's nothing left. All good. The biome is something that's getting more and more on the table. But we're talking about intestines. That's where we're looking at, but it starts in the mouth.
Yes, of course.
And it ends up in the skin.
So there's a lot of research to do there. And you claim on your website to be the most researched toothpaste tablets in the world. So what kind of research?
There's not so many. So, but it's true. We got many testings on it. The professor kept on doing all kinds of PhD works. Never the way that I really wanted it to be done. But however, he did a lot on that. But all showed Denttabs are good and toothpaste is bad. Toothpaste is stupid.
So tell me, once someone switches to Denttabs, what's their retention rate? Do people tend to stick with it? Do they go back to regular toothpaste? What happens?
Hard to say, because most is sold through shelves. We don't know the people. So it's very difficult to tell. But the good news is once we get you especially women, it's easier because the female body is created to reproduce. So you're way more sensitive in whatever you give to your body. Toothpaste has never been accepted. It's only been tolerated. I hate it, but I live with it. It's like me still smoking cigarettes. My body hates it, but because I do it for so long, he lives with it. Rebels a little. It's getting more rebellious. But however, once you are unused to toothpaste, the female body, man never work. Trying to get back means an attack. Your body will tell you that he doesn't want to have it because he now knows better. The first time you've been in touch, you had no choice. As a child, you had no choice. Now you have a choice.
And how long does that typically take for a typical user?
4 to 6 weeks. Get it out of your body and get it out of your brain. There's one really crazy test. If I make you use Denttabs for a long time and you just stick to it because it's your new habit and you want to have it and you want to use it and you're good with it and your dentist said everything fine, you still got your last tube of toothpaste. Take it to the bin. Open the lid. Hold it in a procession. Your toothpaste and say, I will never, ever use toothpaste again, and drop it. There will be explosions in your brain. Really. It's so crazy because your brain still knows there's a backup. Should it fail, I still have a backup. And now you're throwing the last chance for backup into the bin. And that drives you crazy. Because the brain is working very, how can you say that, on its own. We always think we are the one who decides. When you look at it, it's not that much. Otherwise, we wouldn't do so stupid things like smoking cigarettes or using toothpaste. And look at all the other topics. When you look at creams, all cosmetics, when you look at the ingredients, even your lipstick, it looks good, but it's not smart.
I know that many of our listeners will resonate with that message as well. Now, let's talk about the bin for a minute, because imagine you're putting your toothpaste tube in the bin. You're not the only one. Do you have any idea of the sort of waste that's generated by the conventional toothpaste industry? What
we normally talk about is the tubes where the toothpaste is in. And that in Germany, it's per month. In Germany alone, we're using 40 million tubes of toothpaste every month. That's half the population. That's worldwide, more or less 1.5 billion tubes of toothpaste.
Wow.
Every month.
Wow.
Every month. And that tubes, there's nothing you can do. In Germany, at least we can burn them and turn them into heat. But in the rest of the world, you just put them to landfill. The good thing is nothing will happen to them. They just stay as they are. But what's even more crazy is the toothpaste itself. Remember the tulip picture? Toothpaste killed tulips and everything else. Now, where's the toothpaste gone after you use it? Into the sink.
Yep, down the drain.
Who's going to clean it? Who's going to take all the shit from the toothpaste out of the water? It doesn't happen. And we're doing that for now 60, almost 70 years, month by month. That's so unbelievable. And that's sustainability and health and nature and planet. But also we put it all into our bodies. That's unbelievable. And it didn't help. Some dentists say 2 minutes, some say 3 minutes, some say 2 times a day, some say 3 times a day. It's bullshit anyways. The more you use, and there's a new thing coming up where I really go berserk. I'm glad I never met a dentist saying that to my face. In the evening, don't rinse.
I've been told this. I've been told this by my hygienist, and I looked so horrified. I was like, what do you mean don't rinse? And he went, yeah, just don't rinse. And I went, of course I need to rinse. It's in my mouth. And he was like, no, just don't do it. I ignored his advice.
Yeah, ignore it and change the dentist because he has no idea what he's talking about. The argument is that they say for the fluoride to work better, to give it more time, fluoride in toothpaste, because it's a water product, doesn't work anyways. The fluoride ions, that's what we're using, need to be on the surface of the tooth, like attached. Then it can do the job. We just had a case, 6 teeth are worth taking care of, seriously taking care of. 6 months later, all gone. Nothing on the radar. X-rayed, nothing. All good. Teeth are healthy. And the only change was away from toothpaste and use the tablets. That's all. We can show that fluoride is working perfectly well when you apply it correctly. And with the liquid, it doesn't make sense. Just a nerdy detail. Take a timestamp, maybe you want to cut it out, just to understand. The fluoride ion you cannot buy. What you buy is sodium fluoride. Sodium fluoride dissolves when it gets in touch with H2O, with water. Then you have the 2 ions, sodium, fluoride. When you do that in a paste that is made of water and stir it up so it becomes that creamy taste, how good is the chance that the sodium fluoride meets H2O in the process of making? And when you start brushing your teeth with toothpaste, what's the first thing that happens? It foams.
Yes.
You have to foam all over your mouth.
Yeah.
What for? It doesn't make any sense. It's of no use, just the other way around, because you spread all the ingredients, all the shitty stuff on all the surface of your skin. No, what's that? Gums, and all of your mouth, deep into the throat. You have much of the stuff that you don't want to have in your body at all over the place. Whereas the fluoride ions, no way. How could that work? And why did it have to be an accidental thing to find out? Why did nobody put some research on that? Because we know that the fluoride doesn't work properly. That's well known. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all the issues with the crowns and ridges. And when you use the tablet, the tablet is dry, and it's been dry in all of the process. The only water that we need is for the coffee and for the toilet. You don't need water in the production. Now you put it in your mouth, give it a bite, mix it with saliva, which is more or less water, and leave it all with the teeth. And that was the explanation why people all of a sudden didn't have sensitive teeth anymore. And that's the reason why people with tooth decay, all of a sudden, gone. There's different types of tooth decay. We could talk about class A, when it's so deep that you can only... Yeah,
you can't come back from that, I'm sure, yeah.
Well, inlay size, that's getting difficult. We never tried that. But regular stuff like precarious and, we should do something, just like that.
Amazing. Well, you certainly sold me. I'll be going out to buy my year's or lifetime supply shortly after we've finished recording today.
Oh, you can order. We're getting bigger in Britain too. We've been pretty big, but all with these no waste stores. But with them gone, that's really been difficult. And after Brexit, it's hard to get across the border. And now we're partnering with Georgianics. They are pretty famous in Britain for all kinds of stuff. Why don't you do that? Why don't you?
We have listeners all over the world, so they'll be looking in their own countries. We're in every country with this podcast. I've got more questions about the business. So you said that you alluded to it earlier that your competition is still small. Why do you think more brands haven't entered this space?
Well, there's been a time when we've been big in these wasteless stores that there were more than 100 brands producing all kinds of tablets. The famous one was Colgate themselves.
Oh, really? Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, they have, as far as I understood, they have a history with tablets. In the late 1960s, when toothpaste became so incredibly popular, they've been testing on tablets too. But the idea was to pop in a tablet and then you don't have any issues anymore instead of brushing your teeth. And that didn't work and will never work because you need this mechanical aspect. But they had a story with that. And they bought a competitor, well, one of the brands that also been playing in the field of toothpaste tablets. But nobody been talking to me, which is nasty because I tell the secrets, I tell the story all the time, but whoever's coming, because my competitor is not the other a tablet. My competitor is toothpaste, and that's so incredibly big. I can use any support, everyone. But they thought that creating a tablet instead of a paste is a good business, and that it isn't. That's still difficult. And so we're back to when we've been checking on our list with all these 100 plus brands. We found another 30 something left.
Wow! And so things have really declined again.
Totally. And of that 30, we are half because we're producing for others too. Like for that in DM, we do the white label for them and officially may say so, which is very unusual. But they support the idea. They support the thing. So
what's your vision? Where do you see Denttabs being in the next 5 years? Because you've been on this journey for 20 years. You have a product that you know works. You believe strongly in it. You know it can change the world. What's the vision?
Even more important is that we're at no time being doubted and never have we been attacked. You could say that we are threatening the big business. I mean, Colgate is not such a small player.
It is not.
Procter & Gamble, I mean, they are not small and they are very strong. And if they want to have it out of the way, it would take a snap and we'll be gone, whatever they do. But they don't. Because the reason I guess why nobody is opposing us is that they would love to do the same thing. From the industrial point of view, the tablets are so more interesting than the nasty paste. There's no way you can pack paste into something that is only close to sustainability. It'll always be a mess. You can't get away from the tube. All the ingredients, they know that it's shitty stuff. But what they cannot do is provoke that change. They need someone like me running around and making people understand and start changing. The moment that becomes bigger and bigger, then one of them will knock the door, and they all been at my door already, not officially. They never talked to me officially, but they've been sending the agencies and to check us out. And they are professionals. They definitely know each and every tablet that we ever sold in the world, probably by name and size and who's been using it. That's part of their business. They always know what's going on. And so they just let me do.
I have one final question for you. Do you think toothpaste tablets will ever fully replace traditional toothpaste?
You've been asking for 5 years? In 5 years, toothpaste will only be in the history books.
You think that quickly?
Yeah. That's not quickly. We're getting so popular in Germany now that it'll catch attention. I have one smaller toothpaste maker. We already turned all the toothpaste into tablets. Now they need to bring it to the market, but it's all ready to go. That will make the change. And we only need one to start. And that moment, everybody will follow quickly.
It's interesting because we've seen it with shampoo bars, until the indie brands started to make these shampoo bars and sell them, and Lush obviously really championed that. And now I walk into the supermarket and there's whole aisles of shampoo bars from the big players. So it's starting to come, and I can see that toothpaste might eventually get there. But habits are hard to change.
If you look at it from a marketing or salesperson point, you would go a different way. You make all the advertising and blah, 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 and turn it into a wave and to make it something fancy, and some fall for it and some don't. What I want to do is, or what I insist on, is people to understand. There's a reason why we do that. It's never been the intention to have that big business. That's going to come anyways. There's no way you can avoid it. But that's not been the intention. You said it's on a low price. The price is stable for 21 years.
Wow.
We never change it.
Wow.
We never increase prices because the idea was always it's got to be a price level that everybody can afford. So we're on a price level that goes with regular branded toothpaste and not the fancy ones. Just what you normally find on all the Colgate or whatever brands. They increased prices dramatically. We didn't. if we want to make money, we need to sell more. And there's millions that we have to sell to finally achieve the purpose of people understand and make a switch. And what's coming up more and more is that, there's more about toothpaste than we knew. Even I never thought about a dermatologist. We heard such stories every now and then, but that a dermatologist says 80% of my patients go home and don't need to be treated just because they made that switch.
Fascinating.
That's really crazy. And there's way more to come. We just had a talk. We had a talk with a guy who's into female health. We said, okay, we can do that too. All we need to do is to observe and then tell to the people. There's a relation between periodontitis and diabetes. We now know that there's a very strong connection between toothpaste, periodontitis, and Alzheimer.
Okay, these are big claims.
It's very simple. It's been a British research on Alzheimer, where they looked into the brains of people who died with Alzheimer, without Alzheimer. And the difference was a type of bacteria that you only find in the mouth. It belongs there. It does a good job there. But when you have a periodontitis, when you're suffering from that, then too many of these bacteria are being created, multiplied. They go to the blood, somehow to the brain and destroy the brain. So if these scientists who I tried to connect with, but they didn't answer, they are now looking for antibiotic for the brain. I said, how about we think about the source? The antibiotic is good for those who are already somehow infected, but if you don't have periodontitis, you probably not have the problem. And periodontitis is the one disease in the world, in the industrialized world, in the toothpaste contaminated world. We have patients who had the last date with the dentist, and let's pull out the rest of the teeth, and then you get some plastic inside. And we say, okay, hold on, cancel that date just for a couple of weeks and stop using your toothpaste, just use the tablets. Teeth are still in.
Wow, that's amazing.
Nothing recovers as fast as the mouth.
You have totally sold me, Axel. I think what you've created is inspirational. I think you are a disruptor and a visionary, and I'm sure you've heard these words before, and I look forward to seeing you change the entire toothpaste industry. I think it's high time. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. If people want to come and find out more about Denttabs, more about you, where can they do that?
I'm a public person. I got cell phone, I got email, I got a website. I just look for the name, Denttabs, or for me, my personal name, and just look it up and get in touch anytime. There's no question I cannot answer, and there's no experience that we didn't have. After such a long time, I'm the only one who knows everything. And that's so crazy that scientists are still not daring to get into that field. I mean, I'm being with dentists and professors and universities. I'm on various boards, and I tell the story all the time, saying, guys, why are you not interested? We're doing like that. And they don't dare giving up on that. And that's a psychological problem. And I want people to understand that you can make your own decisions. Do it just yourself, because you will be the one who suffers. And if I make people understand what it's all about with the teeth care, then I don't really mind if they want to stick to toothpaste. Because then they have chosen to use toothpaste, knowing what's right and what's wrong, and not using the tablets instead, for whatever reason. But then I'm fine, because in the end, they cannot complain that now they suffer from something. Like if I have lung cancer, I'm the last to complain because I've been smoking. So that's what I want, that people take this as a first opportunity, because once you did that, you chose and did that last test, open the bin and drop the last of toothpaste, you will definitely start looking for other things. And that's not your choice. You do not choose intentionally to start looking for other things. Where can you do the change? Because that does your brain by yourself. Because you have so much joy in having made that decision. You want more of that. And then you start looking for your, shampoo. Okay, not my topic, but body care. With the time, you will start thinking about food. What do you eat? And that's really difficult. That's the most difficult part. And then comes the politicals and everything. People are able to choose.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're giving them that choice. So we'll include all of those links to Denttabs and all the other social platforms and everything in the show notes with this podcast. Axel, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It has been inspiring listening to you and your story and your incredible journey of creating Denttabs.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest, and spread the knowledge.
I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. When are you going to ditch your toothpaste and buy some toothpaste tablets if you're not already using them? I'm sure this episode has inspired you as much as it inspired me. So leave us a comment on our social channels as both the Formula Botanica team and I love hearing from you. And if you want to hear more interviews with inspiring visionary guests, please do delve back into the podcast archives. I've interviewed so many inspiring entrepreneurs over the years who thought big to come up with fascinating products and services. A good example is episode 93 of this podcast, when I interviewed Michael Stausholm of Sprout World and Natasha Walker of Magical Mushroom. And both of these companies sell fascinating, innovative packaging, so inspiring and so visionary. Or listen to episode 59, in which I interviewed Anna Brightman of Upcircle about the upcycled brand they created. At the time, no one thought it could be done, and then they did it. And all it takes is a vision and drive to make it happen, just like Axel did. So there's a wealth of information in our old episodes, and I do encourage you to go back and listen to them. Thank you for joining Axel and I for this latest episode of Green Beauty Conversations. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do leave us a 5-star review so that other people can enjoy these conversations too. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever your favorite podcast app is, and stay tuned for the next episode. Follow Formula Botanica at Formula Botanica on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn. We're everywhere. And come and give me a follow at Lorraine Dallmeier on Instagram and LinkedIn. Visit our website at formulabotanica.com and sign up for our free online formulation course today.